And with the clock ticking to a government shutdown, it's worth remembering President Trump is threatening to fire federal workers instead of furloughing them, and has been done in the past. And now the Congressional Budget Office estimates 750,000 employees could be furloughed at a cost of $400 million a day. Joining me now, Congressman James Walkinshaw, a Democrat representing Virginia's 11th district, home to 65,000 federal workers. Congressman, that's, I think, something around 14% of your constituents who are federal workers. Talk about the impact of a government shutdown.
Well, look, a government shutdown has a devastating impact on federal workers and the American people in terms of services not delivered. As you noted, I represent more than 60,000 federal workers in Northern Virginia. And what they tell me is they've been living through a 9-month de facto government shutdown, where the Trump administration has been shutting down entire agencies, shutting down offices within agencies, firing and laying off federal workers, oftentimes illegally. So they see this potential Trump shutdown part 2 as really a continuation of that.
So I'm curious, do you worry? Does it make the 5-alarm fire of firings and health care cuts that you and other Democrats have been warning about even worse by letting a shutdown happen?
I don't think it does. I think the Trump administration will continue to fire federal workers if the government is open or if the government is shut. It's worth noting that legally, it's actually harder for them to conduct widespread layoffs, the kind that they've threatened during a shutdown, than it is when the government is open. But I think they're going to continue those efforts with or without a government shutdown. I want to prevent a government shutdown because it's bad for my constituents and bad for the American people. We need to cancel the health care cuts and open the government. That's why I wish Republicans were here with me in the Capitol right now to negotiate a bipartisan agreement to do that.
I spoke with one of your Republican colleagues, Dusty Johnson, earlier, and he pointed the finger directly at the Democrats. He said, look, negotiations took place already in a bipartisan way. Let me play for you exactly what he said.
Appropriations bills passed out of the Senate Appropriations Committee on a bipartisan basis. And we know that we also had a House stopgap that passed out just last week on a bipartisan basis. Appropriators, Democrats or Republicans alike, have been working together to get to yes. The idea that because they didn't get everything done, we're going to shut the whole damn thing down and pout is Democratic framing.
Is this Democratic framing?
I find those comments very strange. Not one appropriations bill has been signed into law by the President of the United States. That's why we're facing a shutdown. The continuing resolution that passed here in the House with almost all Republican support, I think only one Democrat voted for it, hasn't been able to pass in the Senate and will likely fail again in the Senate. And congressional Republicans like Mr. Johnson aren't here doing their job. They're not here negotiating. They're home, they're on vacation, they're on the golf course. I don't know where they are. They need to come back so we can sit down together and negotiate a bipartisan agreement to cancel the health care cuts and keep the government open.
Congressman James Walkinshaw, always good to see you. Thank you very much for coming on the show.